Welcome to Stories and Songs by Afterglow Music. My name is Joel McCausland.
And I'm Kevin Peay, and we've been creating music for a long time.
We'd like to tell you the stories behind our songs. Kevin, what are we going to talk about tonight? We got a song in mind?
I've been pondering on this stand for something, but maybe more importantly, stand for something right.
Yeah.
And I guess there's a lot of interpretation nowadays about what is right and what is wrong. But for most of us, I think we know what right versus wrong is, good versus evil.
And to your point, more people need to be standing for something, right?
Correct.
I mean, that's, to me, it's like, gosh, I look at so many people that are just sort of content to be pushed. And there's so much misinformation in the world today. Without even thinking about it, some people are just kind of going with the flow, whichever side of that discussion or whatever the topic is they're on, and really kind of taking a stand and feeling something in yourself and saying, I'll defend that. That's important.
And we've recently come off a general conference, and a lot of the talks, of course, that have been delivered and some of the new changes that are taking place amongst our new prophet, who is now President Dallin H. Oaks, and we've been under the wonderful teachings of President Nelson prior to that. But it's interesting to where the lines are drawn in regards to the Lord and the delivery of content and doctrine as it pertains to standing. And of course, we've had some things that have happened in our country. And really, people are having to really make a stand.
I saw something the other day that was really interesting. It was kind of a reaffirmation for me in a way. So, a little context for this. In Priesthood on Sunday, we were talking about the change, the transition, new prophet, and it was a little speculative at that point, of course, because the official announcement hadn't come out yet. But we talked a little bit about President Oaks, and we talked about the reputation he has had as somebody who's very doctrinal, maybe stern sometimes. He delivers messages very directly, and he's been that way. And somebody in the room said, you don't always feel that he's warm and fuzzy. I thought about that a bit. We have these perceptions sometimes of the men who get called into these positions. And then I saw a post by Jenny Oaks Baker. It was right after the announcement, just that afternoon, I think. And she talked about what she has always known about her dad, the humor, the warmth, the great grandpa that he is. And maybe we haven't always seen all those aspects of personality in him or anyone else. You just see kind of what's in front of you in some ways, unless you're fortunate enough to be interacting with them on a personal level. And I thought, wow, the one thing she said that stuck with me was every prophet might feel, it might feel like there's some sort of a tone or a theme. People associate President Nelson with temples. And there have been others that have been kind of known for certain things. But she said the one thing that this reiterates to me is that the Lord is in charge. And there might be people called at times and places to do certain things, to employ certain talents. But the thing that was kind of an affirming thing was the Lord is directing the church today and last month and 12 years ago. And the way he gets it done might vary from person to person depending on their talents and gifts and certainly the times we're in. But it was really cool to hear her. A little surprised that she did it like that, in a kind of a public forum. It was on Facebook or something, but really a great tribute from a daughter to her dad. And then a testimony about his role. It was cool.
I appreciate you setting that up because the song Stand for Something that we're talking about was really, it came when President Hinckley was the prophet.
Oh, yeah.
And he talked about the bees.
The Beatitudes almost right?
Yeah.
The book he did.
And of course his signature, he had many signatures in regards to his ministry as president of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. And that's one that really stuck out to me. And I thought to myself, I wonder if there's anything that we could do to capture that within inside a song and talk about the principles associated for standing for something. And that's how that song came to be. Maybe we can let the audience hear a portion of the song, and then we can talk a little bit more about it.
It'd be great.
I can be grateful, I can be smart, I can be clean and true and pure in every way. I can be humble and open my heart. I can be prayerful as I touch the light of day. I can stand for something right. Stand together, filled with heaven's light. Light the way, mark the path to be on. I can celebrate and stand forever strong.
So President Hinckley was, I don't know if you've ever had a favorite prophet, but I've had a lot of them. Joseph Smith being one of them, the prophet of the Restoration.
For sure.
And where I served in Nauvoo and had some marvelous building experiences. And then when President Hinckley came back in 1982, he was doing some dedication of some monuments, and I had the opportunity to sit down with him and Sister Hinckley. Mm-hmm. And Sister Hinckley...
Isn't there a family connection?
Sister Hinckley is a Peay.
Yeah.
She's a Peay, but she's a P-A-Y, and I'm a P-E-A-Y. And so I remember specifically sitting at Dr. Kimball's, our mission president at the time in Nauvoo. I'm sitting at the piano, and Sister Hinckley is sitting in a beautiful chair, and President Hinckley is sitting over on the couch. And I don't really know why I was there. I can't remember that, but I do remember Sister Hinckley turning to me and saying, "We share the last name." And I said, "We do, but mine's spelled a little awkward. And yours is spelled really straight."
Straightforward, easy to understand.
P-A-Y versus P-E-A-Y. And she says, "Do you know the history of that?" And I said, I really don't, but I'll do some research. And but I think we're tied somewhere. So after a few years went by, I started to do the research in regards to that, and we went back to Sussex, England. And we tied back all the way to the same person, and it was all spelled P-A-Y. So I'm trying to discover why there was such a break in regards to three spellings that I could see, and it was P-E-A-Y, P-A-Y, and P-A-Y-E. And the P-A-Y-E, of course, we took off on the countryside of
country,
it.
McCausland and Peay, that's right.
McCausland and Peay. And
for the very same reason, because it was easy to pronounce and understand.
But Sister Hinckley and I had that wonderful tie together in regards to our lineage associated with the Peay name. But President Hinckley's always had a real soft spot in my heart, and when he talked about the B's, stand for something right, I can be grateful, I can be smart, and the list goes on that the song will talk about. We all have our favorite moments in time, I guess, as we grow. President Kimball was in our lives.
Kind of the prophet of our youth, right?
Prophet of our youth. And then, of course, President Hinckley was the advocate behind the proclamation to the family in 1995. And then we've had different opportunities to really endear ourselves to the teachings of the prophets as they come forward. Think about
that. And it's not that there is a theme necessarily, but you do remember him for certain things. I remember when President Monson was called, and I think his first addresses at conference talked about seeking for the one, ministering to the one. And I think about how, just in retrospect, maybe that was part of the preparation of when President Nelson came out with the higher and holier approach to what used to be home teaching and introducing the idea of ministering. Maybe President Monson was prepping us for that all those years to say, when you feel that call, when you feel that prompting to go help someone, that's the most important thing right now. Go do that. Go be there for that person. And that kind of person-to-person love and attention, it's sometimes only in retrospect that I get that. Like you look back on their ministry, back the time they were in that most visible position, and you think they taught us something about that. And I think in a lot of ways, Elder Holland now has that kind of feel for me. It's so personal, the things that he talks about and the way he reaches out to individuals. And we can learn something from everyone, every prophet, every apostle along the way. They've all got something that maybe at least for an individual they come to be known for. Might not be a church-wide thing, but I remember them for certain things.
I've been thinking more and more, especially as I listen to the radio. I like to flip over to K-Love radio every once in a while and listen to the general Christian population and how they approach music, and to hear the DJs who in themselves are ministers to a grand population in regards to it. And I love some of the things that they bring forth as far as the ministry of the New Testament, the ministry and the stories of the Old Testament, of course, of what we believe as far as it's translated correctly. And we love the stories of the Old Testament and the New Testament. And I was struck the other day specifically, there was somebody that was being interviewed about their journey, general Christianity, and finding a church in the latter day that had prophets and apostles. And as he went through this life-seeking journey to find these apostles of the latter day, he talked about the transformation and the long time it took him, almost 48 years, to be able to understand that there was continuous revelation and that there was a church on the earth that the Lord continued to speak, as Amos 3 says, that surely the Lord God will do nothing except he revealeth his secrets unto his servants, the prophets. Mm-hmm. And many people think that that has just been documented in the past and that there maybe doesn't need to be continuous revelation. But the profound effect for me in my journey of understanding that there truly is, through revelation, prophets and apostles here upon the earth, through restoration of Christ's church of the New Testament church has been restored with apostles such as Peter and Thomas, and the list goes on.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And they, in the latter day, are really standing for something. They're standing for what the Lord, they believe, and what we believe the Lord has revealed for the latter day. Men of wisdom, men of sound understanding in their professions, and they have grown in wisdom and in stature associated. They're not perfect men. We're not saying that they're, they're perfect in every way, but, we all have frailties and weaknesses. But as far as when it comes to speaking for the Lord, it is a unified process. And our opportunity is to stand for that belief. I have been convinced through the power of the Holy Ghost that this is true. I love general Christianity. I love that
there's
people...
good. And anytime people are coming to Christ, it's a good thing.
I love that people are out ministering and doing their missionary work and bringing people to Christ and putting Christ in that frame of mind where people are making a change towards Him. And then we come to the point of the doctrinal factor of revelation and what is happening now as the Lord continues to reveal His secrets to His servants, the prophets. And so I testify that the Lord has revealed His church here upon the earth, and it is led by prophets and apostles, and now it is led by President Dallin Oaks and the quorum of apostles that he has set up and established. And so this song has been really coming back to me, I guess, even though it was written 12, 13 years ago. It might have been a little longer than that. And
it's a great message, Kev, because it really expresses that need for us to be bold in the things we believe. And I think about all the messages we heard from President Nelson over the last decade or so about taking your vitamins and getting ready, and that the Lord's going to reveal some marvelous things, more marvelous than we've ever seen before. And I think the underlying message to that is something that President Holland talked about, how you can't be comfortable in your Christianity. There's no such thing. There is going to be strife and trials and adversity, and there's going to be joy. And we can have both of those, but we don't get there unless we can be bold in defending what we believe. And I just feel like that as time goes on, that's going to become more and more important. So whenever you wrote it, this song's a song for the times, I think.
Thank you for expounding upon that. Maybe we can play the whole song and let everybody listen to what was on my mind at that point in time.
I can be grateful, I can be smart, I can be clean and true and pure in every way. I can be humble and open my heart. I can be prayerful as I touch the light of day. I can stand for something, stand for something right. Stand together, filled with heaven's light. Light the way, mark the path to beyond. I can celebrate and stand forever strong. I want forever to be guided by the feelings of the heart. I know if I want to be free, that heaven is the place for me to start. I can stand for something, stand for something right. Stand together, filled with heaven's light. Light the way, mark the path to beyond. I can celebrate and stand forever strong. When a heart is filled with love, we find the peace that we've been dreaming of. We can stand for something, stand for something right. Stand together, filled with heaven's light. Light the way, mark the path to beyond. We can celebrate and stand forever strong. Stand together, filled with heaven's light. Light the way, mark the path to beyond. We can celebrate and stand forever strong.